Hey seniors, my name is Nancy Ahad. If you are 65 or older and you still get behind the wheel, I need you to hear this because starting in 2026, the rules for keeping your driver's license are changing, and they are not changing everywhere at the same speed, which is exactly why so many seniors are about to get caught off guard. There are 5 specific changes rolling out across the states this year. 4 of them are things you simply have to know before your next renewal comes up. And the 4th one, the one I want you to stay with me for, is the one that can quietly cost you your license before you even understand what happened. But there is also good news buried in here. A change that actually makes life easier for older drivers and a way for a lot of you to renew your license from your own kitchen table without ever setting foot in a DMV line. So do not click away, because by the end of this you are going to know exactly what is coming, exactly which of these applies to you, and exactly what to do about each one. And before anyone counts themselves out, let me say this plainly. It does not matter if you are 62 or 85. It does not matter if you have had a spotless license for 50 years. These changes are written around age and around renewal dates. And every single person watching this is going to hit a renewal date sooner than they think. So this is for you, and honestly, it is for anyone you love who is still driving, because most of them have no idea any of this is coming. Now let me tell you who I am, so you know why I am the one walking you through it. My name is Nancy Ahad. I am an estate attorney, and for more than 15 years, my whole job has been reading the fine print that agencies and departments count on regular people never reading and then translating it into plain English so families can protect what is theirs. And a driver's license for a senior is not a small thing. It is your independence. It is how you get to the doctor, how you see your grandchildren, how you buy your own groceries without asking anyone for a ride. So when the rules around that license start shifting, I pay attention, and I think you should too. Here is the first thing you have to understand, and it is the thing that cuts through all the fear-mongering you may have already seen online. There is no new federal law that bans seniors from driving. Anyone who tells you the government just passed a nationwide rule taking licenses away from everyone over 70 is either confused or trying to scare you. It does not work that way, and it never has. In this country, your driver's license is controlled by your state, not by Washington. That is actually good news because it means you are not at the mercy of one sweeping rule. But it is also exactly why this is so confusing, because it means the rules are different depending on which state you live in, and a whole group of states are tightening those rules in 2026. So what I have done is gone through them and pulled out the 5 changes that matter most, the ones showing up again and again as these states update their laws. Let us go through them one at a time. The first change is the vision test at renewal. And this is the one that catches the most people because it sounds small, and it absolutely is not. Right now, 41 states already require some form of vision test when you renew your license. But the age at which that test kicks in is dropping in a lot of places. And in some states, it now starts at 65. Think about that. In states like Arizona, Ohio, Oregon, South Dakota, and Utah, the moment you cross into your mid-60s, a vision check becomes part of every renewal. In Georgia, it starts even earlier at 64. Other states set it in your late 60s or 70s, and a few, like Florida, wait until 80. But here is why this matters so much. Most seniors have no idea their state added this. So they show up to renew the way they always have, and suddenly there is an eye chart in front of them that they did not prepare for. And if you do not pass it that day, you do not walk out with your license. You walk out with a restriction or a referral or a temporary permit and a problem to solve. The vision itself is rarely the real issue. The real issue is being blindsided by it. Let me give you a picture of how this actually plays out. Picture a woman named Margaret, 71 years old, who has renewed her license the same easy way for decades. She drives to the office on her lunch break, expecting 5 minutes and a new photo. Instead, there is an eye chart. She is tired, the light is bad, and she misses a line she probably would have read fine on a good morning. Now, instead of a new license, she is handed a form and told to come back with a report from an eye doctor. Suddenly, she is driving on a temporary permit, worried, scheduling appointments, and feeling like something is wrong with her, when the truth is she was simply never told the rule had changed. That is the whole danger here, not your eyes. The ambush. So, the single most useful thing I can tell you about rule number 1 is this. Before your renewal, find out whether your state now tests vision at your age. And if it does, Go get your eyes checked first on your own schedule, calmly, so that piece is already handled before you ever walk in the door. Walk in already knowing you pass, and the whole appointment becomes nothing but a photo and a signature. The second change is that more states are now requiring you to renew in person once you reach a certain age, and they are taking away the convenient options you used to have. For years, most of us could renew a license by mail or online without ever leaving home. But right now, 17 states in the District of Columbia block online or mail renewal for older drivers and require you to show up in person instead. Arizona starts that in-person requirement at 65. Texas requires it once you turn 79. And the reason states do this is that showing up in person lets them run that vision check, take a fresh photo, and in some cases, take a quiet look at whether you are steady on your feet and clear in your answers. Now, I am not telling you this to frighten you. For most of you, an in-person renewal is a minor inconvenience, an afternoon in a line, but you have to know it is coming. Because if you are the type who has always just clicked a button online every few years, and you assume you can do that again, you may find out at the worst possible moment that your state now says no. Come down here in person, and by then, your renewal window may be closing. Knowing the rule ahead of time turns a crisis into an errand. I think of a gentleman named Harold, 79, in a state that had just moved its in-person age to exactly 79. He tried 3 times to renew online, got an error each time, assumed the website was broken, and put it off. By the time he called and learned he now had to come in person, his license had lapsed for 11 days. And a lapsed license is not a small thing. In most places, the day your license expires, you are no longer legally allowed to drive, which means your car insurance may not cover you if something happens, and a simple traffic stop can turn into a citation. Harold did nothing wrong except assume the rule was the same as last time. Do not be Harold. The moment you know an in-person renewal is coming, you plan for it. You pick your day and you go before the deadline, not after. The third change is that the renewal cycle itself is getting shorter as you get older, which means you are going to be dealing with all of this more often than you used to. When you were younger, your license was probably good for 8, 10, even 12 years at a stretch. That stretches out and lets you forget the DMV even exists. But these states are shrinking that window for older drivers. In Arizona, once you hit 65, your license has to be renewed every 5 years instead of the 12 that younger drivers get. In Texas, drivers 85 and older renew every 2 years. In Illinois, drivers between 81 and 86 renew every 2 years. And once you are 87, it becomes every single year. Florida shortens it to every 6 years once you are 80. Now, why does this matter to you today? Because every one of those shortened cycles is another moment where the vision test and the in-person rule get applied to you again. A longer license used to mean you got tested once a decade. A shorter license means you are back in that chair far more often, and each visit is another chance for something to go sideways if you are not prepared. And there is a quieter trap hidden inside this one. When your license was good for a decade, you could safely forget about it. But when it renews every 2 years or every single year once you are into your late 80s, the odds that one of those renewal dates slips past, you go up every single time. A senior who renewed once in 2014 and did not think about it again is now suddenly facing a renewal in 2026, and another in 2028 and another after that, each one carrying the vision test and the in-person rule with it. So the takeaway on Rule 3 is simple. Do not assume your license lasts as long as it used to. Pull your actual card out of your wallet right now. Look at the expiration date printed on it, and mark that date on your calendar and your phone, because the gap between renewals is getting smaller precisely when the requirements are getting stricter. And the people who get caught are almost always the ones who are working off the old longer timeline in their head. Now stay with me because here comes the fourth change. And this is the one I told you at the very start could cost you your license. This is the medical incompetency review, and it is the one that trips the alarm because it is the one place where you can go from a licensed driver to a restricted or suspended one in a single appointment. Here is what is happening. More states are building in a step where once you reach a certain age or once someone raises a concern, you have to demonstrate that you can still safely operate a vehicle. And this is not hypothetical for 2026. In Illinois, starting July 1st of 2026, drivers who are 87 and older must actually demonstrate their ability to safely operate a motor vehicle in order to renew. On top of that, most states have what is called a medical review or referral process where a doctor, a police officer, or sometimes even a family member can flag a driver. And once you are flagged, you can be required to pass a vision exam, a written test, a road test, or a medical evaluation to keep driving. And here is the part almost nobody understands until it happens to them. If you get one of those notices in the mail and you ignore it or you miss the deadline, your license can be suspended automatically. Not because you failed anything, but because you did not respond. That is how good, careful drivers lose their license. Not by crashing, by throwing away an official envelope they thought was junk mail. And I want you to really sit with how easily that happens because these agencies do not send that notice by certified courier with flashing lights. It arrives as a plain white envelope mixed in with the grocery flyers and the credit card offers on a busy day, and it goes in the pile that gets tossed. 3 weeks later, there is a second letter you also do not open. And by the time a family member notices something is wrong, the license is already suspended. And now you are trying to unring a bell, which takes far more time, more paperwork, and more stress than simply opening the first letter would have. I have watched families go through exactly this. And the frustrating part is that the person almost always could have kept their license with room to spare. They just never opened the envelope that told them how. So, the rule on number 4 is the most important one in this entire video. If anything arrives from your state's licensing agency, you open it that day. You read it carefully, and you do exactly what it says by the date it gives you. Do not let a missed deadline take away the independence you have earned over a lifetime of safe driving. All right, take a breath because now I get to give you the good news I promised. And it is genuinely good. The 5th change is that a lot of states are making it easier, not harder, to renew from home if you know the one step that unlocks it. Here is the secret. In many states that normally force older drivers to come in person for a vision test, you can skip that trip entirely if you simply have your own eye doctor fill out a vision report and send it in ahead of time. Florida allows drivers 80 and older to renew online as long as an eye doctor submits your vision results electronically first. Colorado lets drivers 80 and older renew online too, as long as you provide a signed eye examination report from your optometrist or ophthalmologist done within 6 months of your renewal. Do you see what that means? The very requirement that forces some seniors into a long DMV line is the same requirement you can satisfy at your eye doctor's office on your own schedule and then renew from your kitchen table. And there is one more piece of good news, especially for our friends in Illinois. For years, Illinois was the only state that made drivers take a road test just for getting older, starting at 75. Starting in July of 2026, that road test age is being raised all the way up to 87. That is a real win for hundreds of thousands of older drivers who were being sent out for a road test they did not need. So no, this is not all bad news. Some of these changes are the system finally getting a little more reasonable and a little more convenient if you know how to use them. So let me pull this together into what you actually do, because knowing the 5 changes is only useful if you turn it into a handful of simple moves. First, find out your own state's rules for your age. Every state has a driver services or motor vehicle website, and every one of them lays out the renewal age, the vision requirement, and whether you can renew online. 10 minutes on that page or one phone call tells you exactly which of these 5 apply to you. Second, get your vision checked early on your own terms before your renewal date so you are never blindsided by an eye chart. Third, ask your eye doctor whether they can submit your vision report to the state for you because that one question is what unlocks renewing from home in a lot of places. Fourth, and I cannot say this strongly enough, open every single piece of mail from your licensing agency the day it arrives and act on it immediately because a missed deadline is the fastest way to lose a license you have every right to keep. And fifth, mark your real renewal date on your calendar right now, today, because these shorter cycles mean it is coming up sooner than you remember. Now, I have spent years helping seniors and their families protect the things that matter. And if there is one thing I have learned, it is that the people who stay independent the longest are simply the ones who see these changes coming and prepare instead of getting caught flat-footed. And driving is just one piece of a much bigger picture. So many of you have asked me to put the practical steps I cover on this channel, the deadlines, the forms, the exemptions, and the money moves that protect older Americans into one simple place. So, I did. It is called the Senior Money Playbook. And it walks through the benefits, the tax breaks, and the protections that most seniors never find out about until it is too late. All in plain English, written for you, not for a lawyer. If that is something you would find useful, the link is in the description below, and it is there to help you keep more of what is yours. Let me leave you with this. Your driver's license is more than a card in your wallet. It is your freedom to live your own life on your own terms. And nobody should lose that over a rule they never knew existed or a letter they never opened. The states are tightening these requirements quietly, but now you are not one of the people who gets caught by surprise. You know the vision test is coming. You know some renewals now have to be in person. You know the cycles are getting shorter. You know that a missed medical notice is the real danger. And you know the one trick that lets many of you renew from home. Now here is what I want you to do with that. This information only protects the people who actually hear it. So if it was useful to you, send it to another driver you care about. A spouse, a neighbor, a brother or sister, anyone who is still on the road and has no idea these changes are here, because you might be the reason they keep their license instead of losing it. And when you check your own state's rules this week, come back and tell me in the comments which of these 5 surprised you the most and which state you are in, because so many of these change from one state to the next. Subscribe, because clear, plain English answers about protecting your money, your home, and your independence are exactly what I do here. Drive safe. Protect what is yours. Subscribe my channel for daily valuable content. Take care all.